Yay, we're recording. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our weekly leadership call. I am super excited because today we have Amber Mainquist on, and it's been a year since we've heard from her, but we have so many new people that aren't familiar with Amber and her story. And it's just, first of all, if you guys have not met Amber in person, she is like one of the nicest people in the world. Her and Jason are incredible, such a power couple in this business. But Amber's just one of those people that is exactly who she is. When you see her on a video, when you meet her in person, she's exactly who she is. And what I love about Amber is she has just taught me so much about working everywhere. She doesn't go, I'm only going to work with my personally enrolled, or I'm only going to work here. She works with everybody, and it's special when you have leadership like that that's always there to help people out no matter what level they're in, no matter what leg they're in. She is just always there to lend a hand. And honestly, you guys, I don't think I've ever seen a leader in our company travel more than Amber. She is always getting in someone's living room, in someone's restaurant, doing a local somewhere. She is always somewhere. And she's really taught me a lot about getting out there and getting face to face with people in person, and how truly important that is. And for those of you guys that have never heard from her before, I'm super excited to bring Amber on today and for you to hear her story and for her to share some tips with us today. Amber, I would love for you to, first of all, let me make sure that I mute out the background noise. Okay, here we go. Um, I would love for you to kind of just share with everybody your story, Amber. Maybe start back in the beginning. Um, what were you doing before you did network marketing, and then how did you find Lavelle, and share that with us, how you got into Lavelle?
Absolutely. I can't believe it's been a year since I've been on this, I guess. But I have to say two things first. When you said, like, I'm just who I am, I'm like, yeah, I'm a hot mess like this. Like, I was like, oh, hopefully we can make it back home. Luckily, we can do Zooms from our phone, right? But we're literally in our neighborhood, not quite at the house yet. And two, as you're talking all those sweet, sweet words, Jason goes, don't cry. And I'm like, I'm trying not to. And then as we're driving, he like forgot that there's a speed bump in our neighborhood that we drive in every day and almost bottomed out my car. But okay, so yeah, that's our life, right? That's our reality, our hot mess express. But that's what the beauty of all this is we can truly do this from anywhere. I've been running errands, and I've been messaging about all the great new things coming out. I've been talking to promoters about how this works for their business. Like I never stop. It's great when Jason can drive, because that way I can do more. But yeah, before I started this, I was a hairdresser, and I was a good hairdresser. And honestly, it was one of those things, and we start kind of talking about this not too long ago. For me, I was on my own independent salon booth renter. My husband ran his own swimming pool business. The thing is, had we trying to find a spot to go now that I'm in the house. Had we hi, sorry y'all. Had we continued the way we were, I worked 3 days a week. I made a good amount of money. We were in a financial issue with some medical bills and other things, but to be able to make more money, I would have had to have worked more. I would have had to have worked more days, which meant that I would have had to take more time away from my kids. And the reason I worked those 3 days only was so that I could have time with my kids. From the beginning, once I got pregnant with our very first, who's almost 17, we both already worked for ourselves, but we were like, we don't want somebody else for babies. And we literally, y'all, we are those people. We figure it out. We do what it takes, right? Like if something happened tomorrow, I'd be like, I guess, we're eating ramen noodles. Like, we just kind of figured out. That's always been our joke is like, we'll live on ramen if we have to. No, and I know that's not healthy for you, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like you just do what you have to do. And we tag teamed parenting in the very beginning when Dalton was a baby. And Jason would get up super early, like 4:30 in the morning. He would get up, he would go do all his pull route so that he could get back by 10:30 a.m. so that I could hand off the baby and leave and go to the salon. We would do that 3 days a week. And then the rest of the time, he could work normal and I was home. That's what we did, and so even as they got older, we would tag team, like if it was, I started thinking about this the other day with sports and stuff. Like Tuesday night was usually my late night, usually Tuesday and Thursday. But if one of the kids had a sporting event, as they got older, baseball or whatever, if it was motocross, whatever it was, I would schedule appointments around that, right? Like I would say, hey, next Tuesday, I'm going to have to put you earlier. I'm going to have to put you on Thursday because, baseball, right? After school baseball or something. Well, if that game was rained out and it was postponed until Thursday, I'd have to miss it on Thursday because I couldn't turn around and reschedule clients, So now, like the ability to work this business, if that happens, and it has, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't mean I can't see the game like it used to, because that hurts my mama heart, especially when you're like, okay, I'm trying to have time with my kids, spend time with my kids. But at the same time, I need to make money for my kids. And so, this has definitely been a huge blessing in that way. When we started this, Lisa, I was not looking for a business. I honestly was like, I'm a hairdresser. I love what I do. I had plans in the future for when the kids were older, right? Like I worked the 3 days that I worked until they got older. And then I was like, there were things I knew I wanted to do in the future, which had to do with working with another, a product company with hair, not MLM or anything. But I was like, once they're gone, I can go be an educator. I can get certified in this color and I can be an educator with this color line. I can still do hair and do something in that industry and go travel and do that. God had a completely different plan for me before the kids were even grown, which I didn't know. But, I've always been thinking ahead. But when Thrive came into my lap, I was not looking for a company. I was not looking for a product. Honestly, I truly believe that I was just meant to feel like crap for the rest of my life. I was late 30s, just all of a sudden hit a wall. I thought it was my health. I had test after test and nope, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. You're perfectly healthy. And I remember crying in my closet thinking, if they say I'm perfectly healthy, then something's wrong here. There's something wrong with me and it's all my fault and it's all in my head. And I have to, like, I was in this crazy roller coaster cycle where I was crying in my closet. And then I was like, you know what? I can't be a good wife. I can't be a good mom. I remember thinking if I just left, like if I packed a suitcase and I left, they would be better off because wouldn't be dealing with everything I was dealing with internally and putting on them. And I remember kind of joking later being like, but where was I going to go? We didn't have any extra money. And I remember Jason saying, when I told that for the first time, I think on stage somewhere at a local, he was like, you were planning on leaving? I'm like, well, not really, but I truly thought y'all would be better if you didn't have all my crazy, that I was going through. We do crazy things as moms in our heads, right? But what happened was Maria Dillard, love her, y'all. She just kept reaching out. She just kept sharing about Thrive. And whenever I would be like, sorry, I'm crazy busy. I haven't got a chance to look at it all. The boys are racing and I'm exhausted and I have clients. And she'd be like, oh, I totally understand. You just need to get this product in your body, girl. And I was like, oh, LOL. And, and then she would send another message and then, something else. And then finally, I just had to make that decision for myself, right? I had to say, you know what? I'm tired of feeling this way. And what if this works? And guys, let me be super honest with you because I am not the only Lavelle promoter, Thrive person. I'm not the only one that has this story. The reason that I finally ended up thriving and saying yes to Maria and ordering that pack was because of the Facebook fan page. So if y'all are not sharing those stories because you think your friends don't want to see those stories, you are lying to yourself, because those stories are what made me think, what if? What if me? What if I can be a better mom to my kids like so and so? In the beginning, when I was scrolling, I didn't believe it. I remember thinking, whatever, good for so and so, good for Mike and Sally. Oh, yay for her. I truly didn't think it was for me. But at night, when I couldn't sleep and those stories were in my feed and I was scrolling, it they all started to kind of sink in. It was all like, oh my gosh, I want my happy back. Oh my gosh, she's sleeping at night. Here I am laying awake at 2 a.m. Oh my gosh, like she said her knees feel better. Well, I'm a hairdresser. My lower back and my shoulder, they hurt. There were just all these, oh, I had energy. Oh, I actually wanted to be around my kids. Y'all, that was the one. I literally started crying reading that. And I was like, I want to be around my kids. And that was the moment. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. That was the moment that I ordered. I logged in, I ordered, and I sent Mari a message. Hey, I just ordered. And when I created my free account, apparently I created a promoter account. So I guess you have a new promoter. That's another thing. Have grace and patience with your friends and customers and promoters that order wrong. Y'all, I signed up wrong. I ordered wrong. I probably did everything wrong, and look, it all turned out fine. So just have grace and patience with them. But the thing is, excuse me, whenever, like, she knew that I had said I didn't want to build a business. She knew that I accidentally ordered a promoter, but that didn't stop her from letting me know and reminding me, hey girl, I know what you said, but there's $660 on the table in your first $800 in orders. And I was like, but what you got to do for that? Like, like I was still kind of like, nope, don't want that. But wait, tell me more. And she was like, oh, you just need 4 friends thriving with you. And y'all, that made it sound so simple. And she was so confident that I could do it when I was not confident in myself. But she was confident. She was like, girl, you just need 4 friends thriving with you. 4 friends. 4 tired, exhausted mamas. A couple people that could use a little extra money. Like, it was literally that simple. And that was the minute that I was like, well, yeah. And, up to $660 on your first $800 in orders. Well, I was thinking $500, right? Because there's credits in that and whatever. So I was like, I could use $500. All our money is strapped. We could totally use $500. I was sharing. I never started with a sample pack. My product took almost a week. We had like this random mass freeze, like ice apocalypse that happened that year here, which happens once every like 20 years. But anyway, so everything was slow. So I didn't even get my product for a week. So I was just sharing what the company had, right? I was sharing Lavelle fan page stories. I was sharing the calls. I was sharing things that Lavelle was posting. And people were like, well, what is it? I'm like, I don't know. It's supposed to make you feel better, and then I would connect them to Maria because I didn't know. And they would hear her story and then they would order. And then I'm hitting my VIP 800, and then my product shows up. And then I was feeling amazing. So then I was like, holy crap, y'all, this stuff is for real. Like that was literally what I was saying. I would go to the salon and I not only was I sharing with my clients and people around me, but I was sharing with the whole salon because it was booth rental. So there's like probably 50 rooms there. And I'm like finishing clients early because I got the synergy. I'm focused. I'm getting things done. They're looking the best they've ever looked. Like everything is great. And so then I'm talking and I'm sharing. And one of my friends there comes back. She's like, "Hey, I just went to Starbucks, got you." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's so weird. I haven't even drank coffee in like 4 days." And she was like, "Wait, what?" And I just want to be like, yeah, it's weird. Like I'm drinking water. I'm not even craving Little Debbie's. And they all knew me, right? They knew that I didn't like water. I love junky food. I blessed to have a good metabolism and to be tall. I love Starbucks and Sonic, like those things. Like those were, that was me. Everybody knew my favorite thing was wine, chocolate, and Starbucks. And so when it comes down to, wow, I'm feeling great. My skin's looking good. My face is just glowing. Clients were coming in. "Oh my gosh, you're glowing. Are you pregnant?" No, ma'am. Like, like, no, it's this sticker. So that's how outwardly you could see how good I was feeling. And then, clients that were saying no at first were like, "Oh yeah, well, you keep doing that. You let me know how that works for you." Well, then they'd come in, they come in every 4 to 6 weeks, right? So they come in and the next time they're like, "Hey, are you losing weight? Like you look really good." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I swear it's this Thrive." And it just like that. And then over like a 2-year period, almost all my clients had become thriving customers. And, a lot of hairdressers are like, "Well, how do you tell me?" I'm like, I just talk, right? Like I just talk about, like I talk about everything, talk about what's going on in my life, talk about my kids. Well, what's going on in my life is I'm feeling freaking amazing, and I would talk about that. And of course, you know how to read people. If somebody is like, "Oh, okay," then you don't continue to talk about it, right? You start to talk about them. You ask them, "Well, hey, so what's going on in your life? What's up?" And I'll tell you about the kids, or they're like, and then they'll be like, "Gosh, I just wish I could lose some weight," or, "Oh, I'm just so dang tired. Getting old sucks." I'm like, "I know. Thank goodness for this silly sticker." And then they start, it just little things, right? And that was how I built my business. Is I didn't stop talking about it, and just working it in. And Lisa, I'll say this, and then I'll let you ask if you want to ask any questions. The other day we were on our way home from Mexico, and the people behind us, they kept pulling on our seat and stuff, and I was like, "Gosh, these people." And I never talked to them or anything because it was hard to like try to turn around or whatever. But when we got off the plane, we were getting off. Well, they had this cute little dog in this little carrier. So as we're waiting to finally be able to exit the plane, we're talking to them and talking about their dog. Well, they live in Dallas. Her husband just sold his practice, all this stuff. So Jason and him start talking because somehow, I don't know how, but about our RV, right? So he starts asking questions. He's like, "Well, tell me about your RV. What is this? What is that?" And I see her kind of make this like, I totally know because I'm the same way because I'm married to the same kind of guy. She made this face like, "Oh, here we go again," and I just kind of smiled. I was like, "Oh," and so anyway, within 10 minutes, as we're walking, Jason and this guy, they're just talk, 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 talk. Next thing you know, they're talking about cars, and all this stuff. And then she and I I'm like, because I said, "I think they're gonna be BFS." And then we kind of met back up walking through the airport, and I was like, "Oh, now they're talking about cars." And she made that same kind of face again. I go, "I think we could be BFS, because we're married to that." And literally within 10 minutes, I knew so much about her. Like I knew where they lived. I knew they'd sold their practice. I knew they wanted, they're looking for a house in Colorado. Like all these things. Well, Jason, same thing with this guy. He's like, "Oh, he's owned this kind of car and that, and he's this and he's that." And he's like, dang, we learned a lot about two people in less than 10 minutes. Guys, we just talked. Oh my gosh, your dog's so cute. What kind of dog is that? When did you get it? Like we just talked. And when you're willing to smile at someone and talk to someone, then and it wasn't like push Thrive down their throat, right? Like, and then we let them talk and we learned a little bit about them. And I gave her my info, like, hey, let's connect, like it, you know what I'm saying? We talk to people a lot. We like to talk. We like people. We like to be social, and I think that's another reason why things come back at us, because people talk. People like people that listen, and so we do a little bit of both. Lisa, what else?
Well, first of all, like listening to your story, it's so crazy. I like know that feeling, and so many people on here do too. Like that feeling where you're like, I shouldn't feel this way. Something's wrong with me. And doctors are telling you you're fine. And you're like, if this is life, if this is what I have to look forward to, like, I don't even want to live. Like, this sucks, And so many people we know are in that place. And it is just so cool hearing your story and how Thrive totally changed that for you. And it's making me think about people in my life that I know right now that are not thriving with me yet, that have recently shared that same story with me. And it's like, you just want to strangle people. Get on Thrive. What is wrong with you? But you're so
Well,
right. It's about timing.
and that's also the reason that you listen to Lavelle Live calls, you listen to Zooms, you listen to other people's stories, you share the Lavelle fan page stories, because that way when you're reading them and you're hearing them and you have a friend that says, oh my gosh, I'm this, and this, and you're going to be able to say, oh my goodness, I just read a story about a nurse just like you the other day, or oh my goodness, my friend Amber just shared her story. It sounds so much like yours, right? Like then they know that there's somebody else that can relate to them. And they're like, well, if it helped her, maybe it'll help me, right? Like
Right.
it's
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. One of my other favorite parts about your story is kind of your journey to 200K, because there are so many people that come in, they sign somebody that just takes off, and they get deflated. They like stop working. Like I literally have one leg that has a total rock star underneath them, and she does not even work this business right now because she's so deflated because she has this big leg. I kind of want you to talk a little bit about your journey to 200K and what that looked like.
Absolutely. It's funny because I think I was the original red leg story in the company when when this happened. Paul was like, "Tell us about your red leg." Like he would get me on calls and tell us about that red leg. Tell us how you came out of it. Like everybody knew in the very beginning about me as the red leg story. So when we started, with I had been in for about 30 days and had just hit 4K, and Chastity came on board. Well, Chastity already knew, hey, when you have a product like this, you run, and she did run and she took off, and it was amazing. And it was really cool because I was so excited for her. And I was like calling Mari, I'm like, oh my gosh, Chastity just hit 4K. She's been in for 2 days. Oh my gosh, Chastity just hit her auto bonus. Oh my gosh, Chastity hit 40K. And I'm like, I hadn't even hit my 12K yet. But I just remember being so excited for her. And of course, my volume is growing. And I didn't really, because again, not understanding this business really, I didn't quite understand what was going on. But here's what I love. I love that because the company, you don't have to figure things out, because the dials are there. They used to be bars and now they're dials, they're circles. But they're right there, right? Like it tells you, it figures out your red leg for you, and it tells you how much more you need outside of that leg to hit your next rank, right? So at first, I was all excited for her and everything, but then I was like, wait, what do I do? There was one moment, I had a moment, and I called Maria and I was like, she's amazing. She's a great leader. She's growing. I suck. Like, I just was like, I can't do this. And she goes, oh my gosh, girl, you found that rock star. Go find another one. And in that moment, again, she had the confidence in me. And so in that moment, I remember being like, oh, you're right. I did, step a little straighter. I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. So here's the thing is I think though, you have to hear those words and hear what the mindset means versus those words. To some people, they hear, okay, I found one rock star. I got to go find another. And all they're doing is looking for a rock star. But I sat back and I was like, okay, how did I find chastity? I got to do what I did to find her, to go find more like her. So what was I doing? I was not shutting up about Thrive. I was all about the product. I was all about getting it in people's hands. I was all about, oh my gosh, you need this in your body. Chastity posted how exhausted she was. Hey girl, I don't know if you've heard about this thing called Thrive that I've been posting, but I saw how tired you are. You got a minute to chat. You know what I'm saying? That was the message to her. Well, guess what? That was the message to everybody. Like, hey, I don't know if you heard about this Thrive thing, but I saw that you posted you want to lose 5 pounds. Hey, I don't know if you heard about this Thrive thing, but I saw that you posted that you were stressed out with your kids. And let me tell you, it's helping my patients. Hey, I don't know if you saw about this Thrive thing, but I saw that you posted that you're tired of wasting money at Starbucks. Girl, let me tell you, I'm 4 weeks without coffee. Like that was it. That's all it was. And so what happened was people kept coming on board, right? It was another 10 people, another 10 people. And so that leg grew outside of her, not because I just found one person, right? But because I was sharing with multiple people and they came on and they were ready and they were running for refer to, get it for free, VIP 800, 1600, 4K iPad, 12K auto bonus, repeat. Like that's just the truth. And so we did, as a team, we hit 200K in 4 months. So I leveled out 3 months after she hit 200K. But I do remember when we went on our first getaway in Cabo, and I was so excited. I was in Cabo and I was 80K. Chastity was already 200K. And it was like, I think, what was it? 300 people from the company were at that getaway. And it was cool because we had amazing rooms, but all the 200Ks got like this big suite, right? And this big, huge thing of beautiful flowers with this note that said, just wanted to give you something special. The 200K leader in the company. Thank you so much for all you do. And I remember being like, oh, I want that. Like here I am almost 200K. I want that, like it was just that next thing, right? That, oh, look, they give you a little bit more. They go a little bit further for a 200K. And so literally I left, that was the beginning of May. And we were still steadily growing. It was the weekend of my birthday, which is May 23rd. So that weekend, that Memorial Day weekend, we hit 200K. We came out of the red leg. We hit 200K. We had taken our boys, just a last minute thing. All of a sudden we're like, we got 4 days. We're driving down to Galveston. We just rented a hotel. Like I would have never been able to be spontaneous like that before because hotels were a little more expensive, spontaneous. And so I get down there. I'm still working my business from the beach. And then I hit 200K. Jason has pictures of me turning cartwheels on the beach because I was so excited. I was texting Mario. I'm like, we did it. But we didn't do anything different, right? Like it was that mindset. Instead of focusing on she's amazing and I'm not, it was, hey, I reached out to her. She grew. What did I do to reach out to her? I got to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's exactly what happened. I remember Jason Camper said, he's like, a red leg is not a bad thing. You're still getting paid on that leg. The way they have our sponsorship match set up, I was making some good money from Chastity being amazing, but I didn't want to stop there. I didn't want to just like let it roll in. I wanted to max everything out. I wanted to be like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's the other thing is you watch other leaders, right? Like I didn't just learn from Maria. I learned from Chastity, because whether she's in my downline or not, she's freaking amazing. So here I see this, I'm watching her and I'm like, well, what's she doing as a leader? I need to do that, and I was learning from my downline. I still learn from Lisa. Like I freaking love picking Lisa's brain, like you just learn from everybody. It doesn't have to just be, because I only have two uplines, then there's Paul. So you learn from everybody.
When I was thinking about you getting to 200K, I think one of the cool parts is that, okay, I love when you said everybody wants to find a rock star. Okay. And we're kind of not paying attention to like the person that just wants to thrive for free, or the person that just wants to make an extra $500. We have this thing in our mindset that we have to find another Chas or another Amber. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I love about you is you're like, you had a bunch of people. Nobody was a Chas yet. You had a bunch of people that wanted to go 4K and 12K. That took you to 200K. And
Yeah, in
a lot,
every
and then
order.
once you got to 200K, you didn't just sit back and go, I'm 200K now. You kept doing it, and you kept doing it. And here we are, what, 5 years later, 6 years later, you keep doing it. And can you tell me, how long did it take you to have another Chas join your team? Like another Chas.
So it, you know, there's not another Chas. I mean, she's Chastity. But
Right.
I will say that, so it really didn't take that long for that next leg to sprout up. It actually, Mitzi Driver. And here's what's crazy. So Mitzi is not even my personally enrolled. Mitzi is a connection to my personally enrolled. So she's my level 2. So guys, it's that, Jason Kemper talks all the time about the power of one. Like you never know, that rock star that opens you up isn't necessarily your personally enrolled, like you just never know. That power of one, that connector, who is this person connecting you to, right? So you just never know. You never know who it's going to be. I've got another personally enrolled right now that they have a lot on their plate and they're really happy with where they're at, but they just signed somebody that's like ready to go and I'm working with them. You just never know. And don't be like, well, that person's not doing anything. Well, if it weren't for that person, they wouldn't have connected you to the rock star. So you better be thankful for that person that's not doing anything. It's all about flipping the script, right? The mindset, like looking at it from another way. I think that's huge.
Yeah, I do too. And I also love, like, I think it's so important for people to understand how important it is to do locals. And I'm talking about living room locals, like get people in a room. Like, I, what do you think for you personally it's done for your business to
Oh,
continue to always be going to locals, doing locals, getting in front of people, being in people's faces in their living rooms? Like, how there's so many people not doing it, and I think people, if they could hear how it can literally keep your business growing.
so you know what? I love that you asked that, because let's talk about that for a second, because I'll be dead honest. So in the very beginning, we were rocking out locals. We had a local here, like our team alone in Keller, very first, well, probably second local, we packed over 200 people in a room. And this was not with combined sidelines. This was just our team alone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so awesome, you know? And then over the years, there was a point where things kind of started whatever, right? Like, you know, Jason Camper talked in our leadership thing in Mexico, Lisa, about how, you know, there's always an ebb and flow. There's an ebb and flow in your business. There's an ebb and flow in your personal life, you know, like, and you're going to get burned out and you need to recharge. So I got to a point where I, I took it so personally when people didn't show up to a local. Like, I don't know why. Like, right? Like we say all the time, don't take it personal when somebody tells you no about Thrive, right? So, like, I knew that. But all of a sudden, people weren't showing up to locals and it was only a small handful. And I was taking it personal. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I suck as a leader. Like, why can't I get people in a room? Like, it was just like it was attacking me mentally. And then it kind of, and same with calls, right? Like team calls at one point were super high volume, and then there would be like 26 on a call one day, and 200 one day, and 26 one day. And I remember being just like, oh my gosh, like all these people say they want it, but they're not showing up. And it hurt my feelings. It made me angry. It made me want to shake people because I didn't know what else to do. um, but, but then, and I think at first it was Billy Holderby, and then somebody else said it. And now I say it all the time. It's not about the people that aren't in that room. It's not about the people that didn't dial into the call, even though those are the ones that make you mad, because then you get off the call and then they call you, I really want to grow my business. I'm like, hey, what you think about the call? What call? Like, you know what I mean? We won't get into that. But he said it's not about who wasn't on it. It's about who was. It's about the 26 that were. It's about the 6 people that showed up at your living room local. It's about the 12 people that are constantly there with you, you know, and when I started thinking like that, it definitely changed. It shifted for me. And it made me remember, you know what, this is a community. People love community. People love social. People love to be together. And in the beginning, I was traveling all over the place, and we were like packing rooms, and it was explosive. But what happened now is I'm not gauging, was my travel worth it based off of how big or how many are in a room. I'm basing, was my travel worth it just on the people that were there. You know, like we had 28 people at a small training in a living room in Nashville just a few weeks ago. And all those people are still connected. They're still growing. They're messaging me like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, this is so great. I'm growing. Thanks so much for Nashville, you know, and so you've got to travel. You've got to be in a room. Now, if you're 4K or 12K, you don't need to travel. You need to grow where you are. You need to grow your local network. But if you're an 80 or 200K, you need to find out where your people are, and you need to lock arms with them, and you need to go. I personally, I like gatherings where people are sharing their experiences, but I also like where you can do small trainings, and we're doing all kinds of trainings too, but I really like where it's like a Q&A kind of time. You're personal, you're close, you're in your comfy clothes, you're just like chatting, you know, and then you can Q&A it too. So there's good from all aspects. I like the structured trainings, and I also like that time to get to just hang out and grow while you're hanging out. I'm not talking about hanging out and chugging beers. I'm talking about hanging out and talking your business and growing your business.
Yeah, it's just such a, and it like raises your belief level when you get to locals conference in front of other people, you know, that are where you want to be. because you realize, wait, they're normal, they're just like me. If they did it, I can too. And it really does make you believe in yourself, like I got this. And I love when you talked about Maria believed in you when you didn't have that belief. Like she would just kind of put in your ear, you got this. I know you can do it. You did it before. And sometimes we just need that person in our ear saying, you've got this, you can do it. And the other thing I wanted to kind of ask you about is, during the time you've been with Lavelle, I mean, you've been with Lavelle now a few years. I think sometimes, a lot of people think it's just easy once you hit 200K, and life happens. I mean, a lot of life happens. When you look back on your journey, do you feel like there's ever been, times where you fell into management mode, or your business stalled out, or you lost a leg and couldn't recover?
Mm.
Or is there anything you can think of that kind of like was a bad time that you just thought, wow, this
So,
really sucks?
well, yeah, I think there's a couple of things there. You have to look at this, like I said earlier, this isn't anything different than your real life, right? Like in real life, in parenting or business or with your car or whatever, things are good and then things go crazy, and things are good and things go crazy, like, especially right now with teenagers, like, one day everything is great and the next day I'm like, oh, what, I stepped in the room wrong, like, you just, things are crazy, it's unpredictable. And one day your car runs fine and the next day it's got a check engine light, like, it's just part of life. So one thing that prepared me, and I remember just being in unbelief when he said it, but Jason Camper said, you have to always be in phase one, which is that personal growth reach out. He goes, yes, you can work with your team, but you also have to always be in phase one. You have to always be getting people on Thrive. You have to always be sharing your business. You always have to be open for business. He said, you are going to have people that have life happen. You're going to have people that get to the top of the company that hit 200K and then they quit. And I remember, y'all, I'm pretty sure I gasped like out loud. Like I was like, I just remember thinking, why would somebody do that? Like, I was at 200K when he said this. I couldn't imagine not keep doing what I was already doing, growing with the team, but also still growing personally. I could never imagine not doing that, because my theory is there's so many people that need Thrive. This world is not a happy place and they all need this in their body. And I remember being like, what? Why? How would that happen? And it happened to me. And it happened twice. And one time I was like, well, okay, they give up on themselves. I'm trying to help them, whatever. And the next time was devastating to me. Like, it was absolutely devastating. It hurt me personally, mentally, emotionally. There was a friendship there, like there was so much, like, and when I say devastating, I'm talking, I was on my floor, hyperventilating on my knees, ugly crying. I mean, it was bad. It hit me hard. But here's what it didn't do. It didn't hit my business hard, because he had already said that. He had already said, hey, you've always got to stay in phase one. You've always got to stay in personal growth. Because had I not been doing that outside of my stronger leg, which is chastity, had I not been doing that, well, what would have happened, right? Like, had I not continuously been growing and one of these legs fully crumble, I'd have been right back to where I was, right? Like, my business would be struggling. Well, my business wasn't struggling while I was personally struggling. So I was able to get it together and mourn and grieve and go through that, and then turn around, and my business was still thriving. So, things do happen to us. Like, life happens to us. I love how Maria says, just just because we're thrivers doesn't mean life is always going to be hunky dory. It just means you're going to be able to handle it better. It just means you've got that dose of motivation in those capsules that you can take those 3 steps and still feel human when life is falling apart around you. It just means your business can be thriving while you're taking a minute, So that kind of what you're asking, Lisa?
Yeah, totally. I just think people think that it if I could just get to 200K, and
Mm,
and it's not even that. Some people on here just want to get to 12K. I just want to get to 40K. And what we don't get is that when you get to that place, you can't just say, "Okay, I'm here. I'm going to stay here," by not continuing to
yes.
do what you were doing, because
You
I
always
look
have to
at
be growing.
well, and you know as well as I do, the same people that get you to the 12K are not the same ones that get you to 40. They're not the same ones that got you to 80, and they're not going to be the same ones that get you to 200K or a million. You have to always
Yeah.
be in that phase one, like Jason says,
And
that phase
sometimes the
one.
ones, yeah, and sometimes the ones that got you to 200K are not going to be the ones that keep you at 200K. Like sometimes things fall apart, and even like, we've had death, we have promoters that have passed, and there's all of that. Like things just happen. And so if you're not constantly growing, and if you're not connecting, and you're not putting new people into the pipeline from going from cold market to warm market, meaning you're creating relationships and you have new friends that now trust you and you can share thrive with, then your business is going to go stagnant, and it'll either kind of stay or it'll plummet. And you've got to be always getting people on Thrive, always sharing, because people are like, oh, everybody's heard about Thrive. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Like, there are so many people that don't know what it is. They're like, oh, is that food thing? Oh, is that mascara? Like, there are people that do not know what this is. There are people that have heard about it, which is great now, 6 years later. There are people that have heard about it, but they're not quite sure what it does. And so now that's your open window to let them know, oh my gosh, it's amazing. You need to get this in your body. Like, that's it. It's that simple.
Right. And I was also thinking about, I think a good lesson is, do not ever count on anyone else to grow your business ever. Like, even now, like, don't you I mean, you have this huge leg. Yes, I think everybody has a huge leg. I know I do. I think everybody's red legs a little bit. But I don't even think to myself, I'm good to go, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to collect a paycheck now. I don't have to recruit like I used to, because you know I got this huge leg. Jimmy Peck has got it. Her and her leg will keep me going, because and like you said, life happens. Anything can happen at any time. And the only person you can count on is you. What is your daily activities? And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. You get up in the morning. What are your daily activities? Like, what do you think are musts for even that brand new person on here? We have somebody that said, I've been in 3 weeks. um
Right.
what should that person be doing every single day? What are you I mean, obviously what you're doing is probably going to be a little bit different than somebody brand
Right.
new, but there's things that I do today that I still have to do that I started doing day one.
Right. So the biggest thing is you have to plan your week. Like, um, you have to be able to know what you're doing, right? It's like a GPS. Like, if you don't know, if you know where you're going but you don't know how to get there, you're not going to get there very well or very easily. You're either going to get lost or it's going to take a really long time. So if you have a plan for your week, which I love how, we've had some things that have been created throughout the year since we've been here. And I love the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That personally, I like it a lot because it just lays everything out pretty simply. Um, that you know what you're doing. Now you just got to fill in the names, right? Like 5 people to reach out to. And that's any kind of reach out, y'all. It doesn't have to be a Thrive reach out. It's just, you have to be intentional on creating relationships, but then you also have to make sure that you're reaching out on Thrive. So, like saying happy birthday to people. One thing is I now, I'm keeping a list of people that I'm talking to on social media. Like I'm making new friends plus the old friends. Like, oh, I commented on Stacy Smith's vacation photo yesterday. Like I need to go back. I need to make sure, because that's hard for us because we get so many tags now, because we're like Thrive popular, right? So we get so many tags. It's hard to see when your notifications come up that Stacy Smith commented on your comment, so you've got to keep a list. And I keep a list of messages and things like that. Like, oh, I personally messaged Amy Jones, like I messaged her asking, they were in San Diego. We're going to San Diego. Hey, where'd you go? What did you like? I saw that you took your kids to this restaurant. Did they like it? Things like that. Like you have to make a list, a notebook, a recipe box system, whatever works for you. And I will tell you, I still have not found the perfect system on keeping track of follow-ups, but I think that's because my brain is ever changing. And so like what worked for me 4 years ago, my brain got so used to it that I needed to switch it up, and so constantly bettering what is bettering a word, constantly bettering the last way I was using to keep, when I say system, I'm meaning like to keep track. I'm not a spreadsheet person. I can't, I skip names accidentally when I'm on a spreadsheet, and then I go back and go, oh my gosh, I missed John Wayne, like how did I miss John Wayne 17 times? That just doesn't work for me. What does work for me is writing them down. That helps my brain. And whether it's in the recipe, whether it's in the recipe box, on note cards, or whether it's in a spiral with little tabs, that's the best way for me. So you have to keep doing what we always talk about. I don't know if we've talked about the funnel in a while, but basically it's, reaching out to people, sharing the Lavelle stories. Guys, you will hear me say that so many times because I'm a product of those freaking stories. Number one. Two, they work. Like, people don't want to hear your story over and over because they just think you're different, right? But if they hear other stories and they hear other people and they hear what it's doing for others, and maybe all of a sudden this one story that you shared, they relate to it because of some knee discomfort, or they relate to it because that person works at night, swing shift syndrome, whatever. Like, you have to be sharing different stories. You've got to be putting calls out there, having your own calls, doing lives. I've really been thinking, Lisa, the last week or so, I need to get back to doing live experience interviews, because those pop up in people's feeds and they'll hear me interviewing you and you talking about, well, I used to be a waitress and now I'm not, and I get to buy my kids whatever they want, like, or whatever. And so I think that's another thing, doing those Thrive parties online, or whatever who you're calling them, doing experience calls and experience interviews. Like, you just have to keep sharing. You have to follow up. You have to keep record of who you're talking to. I do remember in the very beginning, I would send all these messages and I would think I would remember who I messaged, and I'm human. I didn't remember everything, and so I would have to go back through like 200 messages to figure out who did I not message back, so don't do that. Start a list from today. If you don't have a notebook or a recipe box, like, do that now so that you know who you're messaging, even if they haven't responded to you yet.
It's so crazy to me when, like, people will message me and they'll be like, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I'll say, well, why don't you send me a list over of who you're talking to right now? And they're like, well, I don't have a list. Like,
Mhm.
it always cracks me up because I'm like, well, how do you know? You've got to be organized in some capacity. You need to know, who am I talking to currently?
Know who you're
What
talking to.
what list? You've got to have a list, like I have a list of, these are the people I'm working on. These are the people that have asked me about Thrive. These are the people that have never asked me but that I want to connect with. Like, you've got to have these lists, guys, because if you don't, you're going to struggle. It's going to be so much harder for you. Amber, we just left Mexico, and one of my favorite parts about this company, the getaways, woo, woo, so fun. You get together with everybody. But we got in a room with Paul and Jason and, and Drew, and they talked to us. And can you tell everybody before we get off the call today, what did you take away from that?
Yeah.
And what are you most excited about?
So, for me, it's funny. And I was talking with Jason about this just, I don't know, last night. The days all run together. But talking about, for me, I have never been one of those that like needs to know the future or needs to see, or like, hey, let us in on it. Like, I just, that's just not me. I'm very much like, they've proven to me they know what they're doing. They have our backs. This company is phenomenal. Their integrity is awesome. So I just paint the visual of that, right? Like, I'm okay with just painting the visual of, listen, this company's got our best interest and they're running and we need to run with them, and I trust that. But I learned that there are some people that they're like, they came out of there with this like, I'm so glad that they kind of let us in a little bit and told us some things coming. And I was like, oh, you needed that, like, but that just shows, again, I'm always reminded how different we all are, right? We're all so different. Like, I read all the rules and fine prints and everything, and other people, I won't mention names, but like, somebody said, where do we even go? I was like, well, it was on your email. They're like, I don't read that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, so we're all so different. But I love that they're like, we're not done, like, there's no like, oh, we're cool where we're at, we'll just keep creating a couple new products and we'll just keep thriving, and we'll just kind of stay right here. Oh no, they have like big plans, and they're ready to run, and they just need us to run with them, right? They need us to be getting the word out, to be leaders, to be traveling. The it I don't know, Lisa, did you want me? I don't know. They're so, I I left there just being reminded that I know why I'm here, right? Like, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. I know that I trust who's leading us. Um that's how I left there.
Yeah, I did too. And what cracks me up is, like, every single person on here signed up with Lavelle because they fell in love with, most likely, the Thrive experience or product, right? They signed up with Lavelle because they saw the vision, they fell in love with something. Then
Yeah.
they get in and they're like, I want more. Where's more? Like,
Mhm.
I want more. And my I always tell people, when I signed up in this company 3.5 years ago, I signed up with Lavelle before they really ever did any bonuses. Like, they weren't
Right.
doing that at that time. And I signed up with Lavelle before they had any of the DFT duos and before they had a lot of these products. I signed up with Lavelle because of the fact that without any bonuses ever, they had the best compensation plan I had ever seen. I signed up with Lavelle because without any other products, the Thrive experience was the most amazing, ridiculous thing that I'd ever felt. And I was seeing other people feeling it within 3 days. I always think to myself, even if Lavelle never came out with another bonus promotion, even if they never came out with another product, we still have the only company with this comp plan and the Thrive experience. And that's never going to change. If
Right.
Lavelle stopped tomorrow and said, this is all we're going to get, guys, I'd be like, we still have better than anything else that's out there.
Oh yeah.
So, it's always like, people just get so complacent, or they get so antsy, or they come in and it's like that excitement they felt week one starts to die down, and then they're like, I need more excitement. And like, this is why people quit things, you know what I mean? It's why they quit diets, because the first week they were on fire and they were motivated. The second week they step on the scale, only a pound's gone, they lose the motivation, they're like, screw it, I'm going back to eating whatever I want. Like, people are, you got to be different. If you want to be in this industry, and if you want to succeed, and you want to be 1 million VIP and stand on that stage someday, you have got to be different. You can't be that person that says, I need more. You've
Mm-hmm.
got to go, I've got it all right now, and I'm going to work with that, and I'm not giving up, and I'm not quitting, and I'm in the best place.
Well, and you know what's crazy is like you talking about like diets or whatever. Like I'm one of those, like I hate working out. Like I do. Because I want to see immediate results, right? Like I want to go to the gym and come home and see muscle definition. And it's not possible, right? But what's crazy is that versus a diet or versus working out, you can see immediate results with Thrive. You go share with your friend, they order, well, they're going to feel good, first of all, and second of all, you're going to get paid on Tuesday, right? Like you can see immediate results, and that should create excitement, right? Like, oh my gosh, I just helped my friend feel better. Oh, now I got to help my friend feel better for free, so I'm going to help two of her friends feel better. And you know, when you help people feel better, you should feel pretty darn good. Like you, I believe when you help others feel their best and you help others succeed, you automatically feel good, and you're going to automatically succeed because you're excited because they see results, right?
Right.
That's,
That's where it's at, guys. Stop looking for excitement in the next promotion or the next product. Look for your excitement and your motivation in changing a life. That if that's where you're getting it from, your business is going to grow so fast. You're going to go so far. It's incredible. And I'm already getting messages, Amber. I don't know about you, about this week's paycheck. Oh my God, this is amazing. Cry faces.
Oh,
Yeah,
so awesome.
we
Hey,
just got
speaking of
paid,
that,
everybody.
yeah, speaking of that, don't forget tonight the purchase the $800 promoter pack to get paid as a 200K for the next 4 months. That ends tonight, and there's a State of Lavelle call tonight. You want some excitement? You better get on that freaking call.
Amen. Amen. You guys, it is Tuesday. I know a lot of you guys are just seeing your biggest paycheck ever. It's super exciting. Make sure that you are making your payday posts. Those are so powerful. And yes, like Amber said, today is the last day, you guys. Tonight, midnight Eastern, it's over. You cannot get that 800 pack and be paid as a 200K for the next 4 months. If you're on here right now and you have not purchased the $800 pack and you're going, should I, shouldn't I? My answer to you is you absolutely should if you're planning to run over the next 4 months. Absolutely, 100%. If you're not going to work it, don't bother. Don't waste your money. But if you are planning on promoting, if you are planning on working this, if you're planning on running through this busy season with us, like you're like a chicken with your head cut off, then absolutely 100% get that 800 pack. Get it in whatever you need to do it, because I promise you it's going to pay you back tenfold. And you're going to have so many experiences that you can put in people's hands, which is really cool too. Um, Amber, I want to thank you so much for hopping on with us today and sharing your heart and your story and your tips. I know we all appreciate you so, so much. I know I do. And all of you guys that got on with us today, thank you guys for taking time out of your life to get on and pour into yourselves and learn and grow and invest in you. That's what
mm-hmm.
getting on these Zooms and these calls, like tonight, today, that's what it's going to do for you. That's what creates that mindset and belief level that you're going to need to push yourself to that next level, to get yourself out of the slump, to keep yourself motivated and inspired, right? Is getting on things like this. So everybody, happy Tuesday. Thank you so much again, Amber. And thanks to all of you for hopping on. Next week, we have Tony Strathman. She is our guest next week. So make sure you guys hop on, same time, same place, same link next Tuesday. Thank you,
Thanks,
Amber.
Lisa.